Hey, for MMA UK, I'm Shakiel Mahjouri, and I am so stoked to have our guest today. By far, the nicest person I have ever met in MMA. His nickname is no shtick. Smiling Sam Alvey, how's it going, man?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, my friend. Thank you for having me on.
I appreciate, we've had to try this a second time now. I love how well you're kind of going on with the contrived introduction.
Hey, no, I'm just as happy this time as I was last time.
It's remarkable because when I reached out to you online, every message you sent me had an emoji attached to it. Why are you so happy all the time, man?
Have you seen my wife?
you know, Believe it or not, I've got a question for you about your wife too. Uh, so we'll get. Do you call her Brittany or McKee or like how
No,
does that work?
I call her Brit. If anyone calls her Brittany, they're gonna get punched by her. She hates the name Brittany.
All right.
So she shortened it to Brit, and then when she was on the TV show,
Yeah.
there were a couple other Brits, and so she jumped at the chance to change her name, so she went to McKee. So she'd be happy with McKee or Brit.
All right, we'll go with McKee then, just because that I think is sort of the professional title. But before we get there, you talked to James Lynch recently, and what I found fascinating is I think because of Lil Nog, your opponent's sort of stature as this pride and UFC legend, people are kind of looking at you as the young lion coming into this fight. But you actually have more professional fights than he does. So how do you view yourself going into this? Do you see yourself as sort of the young guy here?
Yeah, I do. I mean, honestly, I compare it to Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson fought Little Nog in like his fifth MMA fight. This is my 50th MMA fight. I'm finally fighting Little Nog. So, I mean, I may have more fights, but I haven't been fighting Dan Henderson my entire career like he has been. So I definitely feel like I'm the younger fighter, the less experienced fighter, just because he's fought and beat some of the best in the world. To this day, I'm not sure if I could beat Dan Henderson if I were to fight him.
How did things go in the training camp?
Yeah, it's the funniest thing. Hendo's 46 or 47 or something right now, and any day he wants, he can come in and just clean out the practice room and just beat us all up. And just knowing that age really is not that big a factor in somebody's skill level, it just psychs me up. It keeps me on point.
Since you mentioned Dan Henderson, let's just jump right to it. How involved were you in his training camp for that Michael Bisping fight? I don't quite know when you joined the team, and so were you involved with that?
Oh yeah. I've been with Hendo for the last 7 years.
How does that feel? Because to see Dan make his last hurrah in a fight that lots of people would argue he'd win. It was like a real little slice of MMA history to me. How did you feel being involved in that whole process?
It was very cool. I mean, like I said, it's the guy in the practice room that nobody can beat up. We can all have good rounds with him, but nobody can beat him up. And just getting to see him go out, on a shield or with it, it was very cool. Because I mean, all of us know that our last fight in this world is likely not going to be for the biggest title in the world. It's kind of likely most people go out on a bit of a losing streak and when they're not ready to. And Hendo got to go out in a title fight and arguably win it.
How did it feel when he did come on the wrong end of that decision?
You're heartbroken. I mean, I was probably more heartbroken than he was. He was pretty upset about it, but he's too classy a guy to complain. It was hard. It was a fight. I felt he won, and it wasn't his town. It wasn't his decision.
Yeah. I mean, we see a lot of that. I know at UFC Moscow there was a controversy or two. Does that worry you at all going into Brazil, fighting Little Nog, the Brazilian legend, in Sao Paulo? I know, obviously, coming off your last fight, it was a split decision. You of yourself talked about your low output because of your sort of counter striking and one punch knockout power. Do you feel the need to maybe press forward a little bit more and try and get this out before it hits the third?
I more feel the need that I have to finish it. Whether it's the first, second, or third, I feel like I have to finish it. I always go into a fight with the intent to finish. I always do. But I'm not going to get comfortable if I feel I'm up in the cards. And I think that's what happened a little bit with John the Gian Vellante fight.
Mm-hmm.
As I dropped him big at the end, and I got the round, and I just felt very comfortable that I was winning the fight, and I coasted too much, and I'm not going to do that this time. I could be up two and 3/4 of the fight, of the rounds, and I'm gonna go for finish. I'm going to finish him. I'm not gonna let the judges come into play at all.
How cool is it to have Dan Henderson in your, or I guess how important is it to have Dan Henderson in your corner in your training camp for this fight, considering the fact that he has fought Lil Nog?
He fought both Nogs.
Yeah.
He fought the big Nog twice, I think. He won one and lost one, so he's a Nog expert. So it was a really beneficial for me to have him in my camp, and he still gloves on and rolls with us 2-3 times a week usually. He's a little busier now that he's retired, but he's still in that room most of the time, and just that he can clear enough of his schedule to come down to Brazil and help me win is going to be pretty cool.
Do you see Little Nog presenting any sort of challenges you haven't faced before because of his high boxing pedigree?
The biggest thing is I think his size. I've not met him yet. I've met his big brother, and his big brother's a pretty big dude. But then I've seen the pictures and everything. I think he's like way bigger than me. I'm not sure yet. I haven't met him in person, but the pictures make me think he is. So that'll be something I'm not that used to, as being a significantly smaller fighter. But I hit just as hard, and I'll find a way to make contact.
You've mentioned kind of being on that Donald Cerrone schedule, and if I'm not mistaken, you fought this is something like your 16th fight in the 3.5 years you've been with the UFC. As fighters,
yep.
Sorry, yeah?
I said, yep, this will be 16th fight, and I think I'm at 4 years now.
That's wild.
And that's with a 9-month layoff because I broke my jaw.
Wow, I forgot about the 9-month layoff. That's... a lot of fighters talk about sort of the pay discrepancy and the sponsorships and yada yada. For you, what is the main motivating factor of staying so active? Is it more the career side? Is it more the financial stability?
I like fighting. I mean, I'm gonna be in the practice room whether I've got a fight or not. I might as well have a fight lined up, so I'm not getting beat up in practice for nothing. I think I've called it a paid practicing is what I'm doing. Said, otherwise I'd be practicing for free, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Do you think you might try and get one more fight before the end of the year if this all goes well?
Yeah, if it all goes well, I know it's coming to my hometown of Milwaukee, and I could pack that arena by myself. You could take every other fight off that card and just have me, and I would have that arena full. So if there's time for one more, Milwaukee's where my eyes are.
I know you threw out Anthony Smith. I don't know how possible that is right now with his fight coming up. Can you think of anyone you might call out after your fight, or anyone that might be available for that Milwaukee card?
Yeah, I've got a couple options. One or two left that my wife and I are going to pick in the next day.
Your wife helps you pick.
What's that? Oh yeah. No, she's very involved in all of my career. I mean, she runs the corner. She helps run the camp. And she's my. I've got 2 new coaches cornering me, with Joe Stevenson and then Dan Henderson, and she's the one that's there every fight. So no, she and I will make a decision here in the next 2 days on who it is, and when I get my hand raised, everyone will get to hear it.
Did you get your wife into MMA?
No, we kind of got into it at the same time. I met her before I was ever a fighter, and I just put her in my corner because it was a free ticket then if she was a corner. Sure. And I was, poor and didn't have any money, so yeah, you're in my corner, and it just went from there. And she started taking it way more serious than I did. I was just having fun out there, and she started looking at it, and she's the whole reason I went to California to train at Team Quest. She did the research, found the gym, knew my style, knew the style of the gym, and decided that'd be the best place for me.
That's wild. How significant and incredible is it to have your partner be so invested in your career and the thing you love? Because I think a lot of the reason so many MMA fighters have trouble with relationships is their girlfriends, their fiancés, whatever, just can't comprehend the grind and the passion and what they're trying to accomplish.
I've seen it happen. I mean, the death of fighters is girls, jobs, and kids. And I've seen it happen over and over again, and I've just been blessed. And I make sure I tell her all the time how thankful I am that she got me into this, that she's made me helped make me come as far as I have.
So your wife won America's Next Top Model. I was going through the sort of social media rabbit hole. Is it true she used to scare the other contestants because she would like take the couch cushions off the pillow and just start practicing her ground and pound in the house?
I don't know if any of them were actually scared, but yeah, she found a way to get her workout in. That show was so much harder than The Ultimate Fighter, from what they told
I
me.
bet.
It's like The Ultimate Fighter, your cameras are always on. They have a couple different camera crews, so even when you're sleeping, they're filming you. The Top Model, they've got one camera crew, and if they're not on you, you're not allowed to talk. And so, I mean, there's like 12 hours a day that you're awake and not allowed to talk. You just sit in a room. And at the time, iPods were just becoming a thing, but not really internet-y. And so you just get to play and listen to your iPod for 12 hours a day as you waited for Tyra to get there, who was notoriously late to everything, like 6 or 7 hours late for everything.
Was that experience worth it for her? Because I work for Entertainment Tonight Canada, like ET, but Canada. And I've read so many horror stories. I've written so many horror stories about how that competition itself didn't necessarily do a lot for people's careers. What was your wife's experience?
She would, because of the competition, she got to do stuff she'd never be able to do without it.
Mm-hmm.
She lived in New York. She lived in Paris. She lived in Australia. She's been around the world twice. She went to school in Paris. She graduated with 2 degrees in Wisconsin out of Ripon College. So she got to do a lot of stuff that people don't get to do. And it's because of the show she did that. As far as if it helped her modeling career or not, it's up in the air. I mean, she got all those experiences and modeled everywhere she went and made some money with it. But she always said it's models, their job isn't to be a personality, isn't to do anything except fit into clothes and draw. Just you're a walking mannequin. He said once you're a famous star or famous TV star, you win the show, you're now a personality, you're now a face behind it. And so when you should be modeling the clothes, people are looking at you instead of the clothes.
Yeah.
So he said it's kind of a double-edged sword. There's some girls that did wonderful things with it. There's some gals that lived around the world with it. And there's some gals that did nothing but have $100,000 at the end of it.
Yeah.
So she's happy with it, but yeah, she always likes explaining exactly what happened after the show.
Is it nice that she can defend herself? Like, I feel if you are an MMA fighter and your wife's a model, some people might be a little bit on edge in terms of how other people treat your wife. But I feel like, if anyone messes with her, they're getting a nice shin to the face.
Oh, she's meaner than I am.
It's a nasty business.
Yeah, I've got I don't worry about anything because she beat up most of the UFC fighters if she wanted to.
That's awesome.
I just asked her to turn the rings around when she's doing it to me.
Does she have any aspirations of competing in MMA?
No, not really. She's doing very well with jiu-jitsu. And she said, if it happens, it happens. But she's not really training for it. She just won she's almost a brown belt. So she just won a tournament here this last weekend for in jiu-jitsu, and I think she's got another big one coming up in October. So she's doing as much of that as she can. She just loves doing that. She plays tennis a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So she's really more athletic than I am. I got to be ready for 15 minutes every 8 weeks. She's ready most of the time.
Listen, there is one thing that beyond anything else I need to ask you before this interview ends. Sam, what's with the bald cats?
My wife's an animal nut. She wants weird animals, and these are actually we only have 3 cats. Mm-hmm. One cat was given to us and we had to hang on to it, and that cat's wonderful. That's Isabella. That one has a lot of hair. It was great. But we had a first cat. We named it Sidious, Darth Sidious, Star Wars, and she got eaten by coyotes. So we got another cat. We named this one Jedi. See if the light side had any better luck. Did not. It got eaten by coyotes. And so we got a third cat, and we named it Tasty, just because we were assuming. And we don't know if that one got eaten, but it it didn't stick around for too much longer than the other two did. So now we have these two hairless cats. They're absolutely wonderful. I didn't think I'd like them. I thought they kind of look like ball sacks.
They do kind of look like ball sacks.
They do, but they are the most wonderful cats I've ever had, and they show no interest in going outside. So we're pretty happy with them. She lucked out because I was getting sick of animals.
Well, I was about to say, Sam, I don't think you two should get outdoor animals anymore.
Yeah, we don't even live around that many coyotes. I don't know why
There's just one that's got it out for you.
Yeah, just one hung outside our fence, I guess.
You know, I actually love the hairless cats. Like, I've got a small cat allergy, so I was thinking about it. I'm just trying to convince my girlfriend it's a good idea.
It's the most. I mean, I know every cat's different, but these cats are everything that you read they're supposed to be. They are so loving, and they just want to be around you, and they sleep, and they kind of do their own thing, and they're just the most delightful cats I've ever had. I didn't think cats could be this much fun.
That was my experience, too. And yeah, like you said, I'm more of a dog guy. I think cats are kind of selfish.
Us too.
What breed is it?
I could tell you any other day. It's slipping my mind right now.
We'll do a whole follow-up interview just about hairless cats.
Yeah.
All right, Sam. How far do you think you are from a title shot? Just to end this on an MMA note.
Hey, if I keep doing what I'm doing, keep getting knockouts, I'm hoping within 4 fights I could be in that talk. Three fights, we'll say. If I win this one, I'll win 2 more. That 4th fight will be for a title.
Hey, it's a thin division, man. And you're probably going to end up in the top 10 with this, huh? If you come out on top.
You know, I don't know. I hope so, but he's not ranked right now. So I don't know what it's going to do. It might keep me at 15. I might get bumped up. I'm really not sure, but I'm going to make sure I get the win, and I'll worry about what my ranking is afterwards.
All right, Sam. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Keep on smiling, and looking forward to talking to you leading up to the next fight, brother.
Sounds great, sir. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.